his right knee. Dodgers center fielder Teoscar Hernandez won Major League Baseball's home run derby last night. He's the first Dodger to win the title in the event's 39-year history. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Rhetoric, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@kbla1580.com. That's advertising at kbla1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got your black.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Pleased to have you tuned into our program in this hour. And as promised, a conversation now with our regular contributor, Connie Rice, about the politics of this particular moment and what the future portends for all of us a day after, the first day of the Republican National Convention. Connie, I have a laundry list of stuff I've been anxious to get to you. A laundry list of stuff I want to cover in this hour. Let me give you a sense so you can get your mind right of all that I want to cover in the hour that we have. In no particular order, I want to talk about the widow of the man who was killed in Butler, Pennsylvania, refusing to take the phone call of Joe Biden. She has not yet heard from Donald Trump. Donald Trump's had a few days to call this woman, given that her husband was shot and killed in an attempt to get him. But Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 3 days have gone by. She's not heard from Donald Trump, but she refused to take a phone call yesterday from President Biden, saying that my husband was a diehard Republican and he would not have wanted me to talk to Joe Biden. That's the frame that we're in, to quote Connie Rice. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Joe Biden and this call for unity. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I don't think it's about unity right now. It's a fight. Connie always says, get your frame right. It's a fight. This ain't about unity at the moment. That's my read. We'll talk about that, Connie. We're going to talk about this decision by Judge Cannon yesterday on the first day of the RNC to dismiss this classified documents case. Connie's not had a chance. I want to give her 24 hours to read it. So she's read it. We'll get Connie's take on that as a brilliant lawyer. We'll talk about Lester Holt's interview of the president last night. I said in the first hour, I did not like it. I like Lester Holt, but I hated that interview last night. My read is, we'll get more into it, Connie, that too many these so-called liberal anchors always feel the need to play this game of both sidesism, and I hate it. And Lester put that on full display last night. I could not stand that Lester Holt interview of President Biden last night. I'll tell you why when we move forward. And, of course, we're going to talk about the RNC and that black parade last night, Connie, of all those Negroes at the podium last night, trying to convince us that the Republican Party is a good place for black people. That's just some of the stuff on my agenda. I think we can do it all in 1 hour. That said, Connie Rice, how are you today?
Tightening my seatbelt.
All right.
Did we say we were going to have a roller coaster every year? We had no idea.
Yeah. Tighten your seatbelt for this hour, in fact, because we got a lot to cover. So let's roll. I think I'll start with this. Let me go to the interview last night. We'll get to the RNC and Trump. But the president last night was not going to be overshadowed by the first night of the RNC, so he agreed to sit with Lester Holt last night, brother anchor on NBC. And this is Joe Biden being pressed by Lester Holt about a comment he made recently to a bunch of donors about putting Donald Trump in the bullseye. And Lester asking, if you're talking about tamping down the rhetoric, why would you use a term like bullseye? Never mind, the president's talking to donors, not to the public. And the president took the opportunity to explain what he meant by that term. This is President Biden last night talking to NBC News' Lester Holt.
Well, let's talk about the conversation this has started, and it's really about language, what we say out loud and the consequences of those. You called your opponent an existential threat on a call a week ago. You said it's time to put Trump in the bullseye. There's some dispute about the context, but I think you appreciate that.
I didn't say crosshairs. I was talking about focus on. Look, the truth of the matter was, what I guess I was talking about at the time was, there was very little focus on Trump's agenda.
Yeah, the term is bullseye.
It was a mistake to use the word. I didn't say crosshairs. I meant bullseye. I meant focus on him. Focus on what he's doing. Focus on his policies. Focus on the number of lies he told in the debate. Focus. I mean, there's a whole range of things that, look, I'm not the guy that said I want to be a dictator on day one. I'm not the guy that refused to accept the outcome of the election. I'm not the guy who said that won't accept the outcome of this election automatically. You can't only love your country when you win. And so the focus was on what he's saying, and I mean the idea.
But have you?
So, Connie, you heard me make my point a moment ago, and there are a number of other clips I could play if we had the time. I may get to one or two others, but Lester was on one last night, and it's this liberal thing of having to play both sides. Donald Trump is completely out of control. He has incited violence. He has excused violence. He's tried to explain away violence. Here's the president talking to a bunch of donors saying we got to put him in the bullseye. It may not have been the appropriate term, but the fact that these people on the left always feel this need to pounce and to try to equate what Biden may or may not have done, what Trump may or may not have done, or what Trump did and did say, it just troubles me. Let me digress for a second and let you get started.
No, you're not digressing. You're on the bullseye.
Hey, Connie, just don't put me in Connie's crosshairs. I'll be in the bullseye, but don't put me in your crosshairs,
no,
Connie.
That's
yeah.
right. No.
Yeah.
You don't want to be in my crosshairs. I got sniper fire. But listen. You're absolutely right. I always explain it this way. If you have Mr. Rogers on one hand and Caligula on the other, going halfway between them and doing both sides of them is not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
I do.
You have to set the context. The context here is that there's only one party that put into its platform right after their insurrection that political violence is necessary. There's only one party that has fomented all kinds of Proud Boy extremism, right wing extremism, both, good people on both sides of Charlottesville.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one party that is now in the eyes of sociologists, in the eyes of political scientists. There's only one party that is an extremist party. It is the GOP. The MAGA movement is an extremist movement that condones political violence and, in fact, foments it. That is not the case for the other party.
Hold that thought, Connie. Hold that thought. Just getting started. I know you got a lot more to say. Just watching this clock here. I'm listening to Connie talk, and I'm thinking of Jesse Jackson, who said famously years ago that content without context is pretext. That's Jesse. With Jesse, everything's a rhyme. Up with hope, down with dope. Put hope in your brains, not dope in your veins. From the outhouse to the White House. Yeah, I was with Jesse on the campaign trail. I know all the one-liners. But Connie's right, and Jesse's right, that content without context is pretext. I'm going to let Connie loose when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Paid for by government. Did you hear? A secret hoard of 1904 $20 gold Liberty coins have been found. These gorgeous 1904p gold coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 500 of these gold coins are available. Coin experts are calling this secret U.S. gold coin discovery a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you can own a piece of the hoard. When you call, you are guaranteed a 1904 gold Liberty struck at the iconic Philadelphia Mint. With limited availability, you must call now. These 1904 dated gold coins are still in uncirculated condition with brilliant luster. That is 120 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-973-3083. Call now and you'll receive a free bonus, a $75 value free with every order. Call 1-800-973-3083 now to secure your 1904p $20 gold Liberty coins before they sell out. That's 1-800-973-3083.
Many homeowners and businesses use man-made stone as an alternative to traditional stone for their countertops. Handling these products puts workers' lives at risk. Without proper conditions, workers could die from the terminal lung disease silicosis. Employers must supply respiratory protection and water systems. It's essential to wet stone when cutting it to prevent breathing in dust. Do away with dusty, deadly practices. Visit WorkSafeWithSilica.org. This is a message from Cal OSHA.
What if the conversation about menopause and bladder leaks didn't have to be a secret? Always Discreet helps you embrace this new chapter with confidence, offering a bladder leak solution that keeps you worry-free. Its rapid dry cord quickly locks away even the biggest gushes with up to 0 leaks, 0 wet feel, and 0 odor. So you can jump, dance, sneeze, and laugh uninterrupted. Everyday protection for every level of leak. We've got you, always. Try Always Discreet today.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Before I turn Connie Rice loose, there's breaking news. There seems to be everyday breaking news, and I'm on the air. Senator Robert Menendez has been found guilty on all counts in his corruption trial. The senator from New Jersey, who survived a previous corruption indictment in 2017, was convicted just moments ago in a federal bribery case involving businessmen and foreign governments. I read 2 paragraphs very quickly from the New York Times. Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey was convicted on all counts in a sweeping scheme to sell his office to foreign powers and crooked businessmen in exchange for hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash, a luxury car, and bars of solid gold. A jury of 12 New Yorkers convicted him on charges including honest services wire fraud, bribery, and extortion, 16 counts in all. Their verdict makes Mr. Menendez a Democrat, only the 7th sitting U.S. senator to be convicted of a federal crime, and will certainly create intense pressure on Mr. Menendez to resign before his term expires at year's end. This is just more great news for Republicans during their convention about the Democratic corruption and bribery and extortion. It ain't just Donald Trump. It's the Democrats, too. So you can rest assured I got money that Bob Menendez's name is going to be mentioned more than once or twice tonight, Connie, in Milwaukee and for the rest of the week. But Democrats are taking on the chin right about now, including this news that the Democratic Senator of New Jersey, the senior senator from that state, Robert Menendez, found guilty on all 16 counts in that case. That's the breaking news of the hour. Connie Rice, our regular contributor that is on in this hour. Glad to have her. And we have a robust agenda of things to cover in this hour. We started, in case you've just tuned in, with a clip of Lester Holt interviewing Joe Biden last night, and I have great disdain, not for Lester, but for his interview style last night. I didn't like it. And I think Connie agrees with me in terms of this both sides. Connie, finish your thought.
Yeah, the media has had 8 years to figure out how to deal with this GOP extremism, the MAGA extremism movement, and they haven't figured it out. You don't treat one side equally to the other when treating both sides equally means you're misreporting the subject matter and you're conveying inaccurate information. You're just getting it wrong.
Yep.
You're getting it wrong because, in this context, there's one side that has a ton weight of violations and infractions and fomenting violence and using violent rhetoric and making fun of Paul Pelosi, 80-year-old who had his head skull bashed in with a hammer. The cruelty and the celebration of violence. That's the thing of it is the MAGA movement is actually a celebration of political violence and physical violence. It's a movement of transgressive intimidation. You got that on the one side, and then you've got regular civil politicians on the other side. You can't do middle down the road. The only thing in the middle of the road is dead armadillos.
That's right.
The middle of the road here actually misconstrues the facts and the context and misinforms the listener and the viewer about what the issues are and who. There's no equities here.
Yeah.
There are no equities here.
Yeah.
So Holt got it wrong.
And the president's talking in a private meeting with donors. You can't be stuck on stupid enough to believe that he's encouraging donors to go shoot Donald Trump. These are donors.
Right.
It's not a 20-year-old. Right. It's not a 20-year-old confused white kid in Pennsylvania. These are donors. So clearly, he did not mean by the use of the term bullseye to go after Donald Trump. Lester has to know that he ain't stupid. And secondly, as I said, it's a private meeting. This is not Donald Trump saying and doing all the things he's done publicly and on Twitter and on Truth Social. This is a false equivalency. And Lester Holt last night respectfully got it wrong. It was a false equivalency. He got it wrong, and I digress. Having said that, I'm disappointed in Lester for his interview last night, but also concerned about Joe Biden and disappointed, I might use that word again, Connie, with these calls for unity. You're the one that teaches us every time you're on to get our frame right. With all due respect to Joe Biden, and Cornel West echoed this as a guest on our show yesterday, I do not see this as a moment of unity. We are in a fight for the soul of this democracy. How can you be in a fight? How can democracy be on the ballot? You're in a fight to save it, and at the other side of your mouth, you're calling for unity. I'm confused, Connie Rice.
Yeah, take a number. They really, honest to goodness. First of all, they bring pillows to knife fights. I don't know what's wrong with the Dems. They just don't know how to strategically and tactically engage a challenge. Okay, There are times, there are contexts where unity is called for. Now, for example, Martin Luther King Jr.'s revolution, civil rights revolution, he led African Americans to do the second founding of this country with the civil rights revolution. That was a moral war against a power that was set to annihilate African Americans from its get-go. A moral war, when you talk about unity and love, those are your weapons. And this is not a moral war. This is a power war. That's the frame we're in. And when you're in a power war, you can't have unity because you've got one side that has decided the other side cannot exist. You go for unity when you're in a frame of coexistence. The MAGA movement, and that's why the widow did not take President Biden's call, because there's one side that has decided that the other side is so evil they cannot be engaged with, they must be annihilated. They won't allow them to hold office. They won't allow them to vote. They're not going to allow them to exist. They will storm capitals. They will unleash the Proud Boys to kidnap Gretchen Whitmer. They are on a violent bent. When you have an opponent that's on a violent bent, you have to deflect that. Like jiu-jitsu is what I do. You take the force of a transgressive force, a knife attack, a kick, somebody pulls a gun, you have to divert the violence, and turn it back on in a way that neutralizes the violence without killing the other person. That's jiu-jitsu. So we're not in a context of kumbaya. Okay? Yeah. We're in a context of we face an existential threat. We cannot go all out into annihilative war because that's not what's going to get us where we want to go. Yeah. We're out to save the democracy, and to do so, you have to paint a very clear picture of the threat. That's not unity.
Yeah. You referenced it. Let me give the audience a bit more detail here. In an interview with the New York Post, No surprise there, conservative outlet, and she's a Republican. Her husband's a Republican, so no surprise she talked to the Post. But I'm quoting from Helen Compatore, who is the widow now of Corey Compatore, former chief of the Buffalo Township Volunteer Fire Company, who was with his family at the Trump rally in nearby Butler, Pennsylvania last Saturday when this deranged sniper, Thomas Matthew Crooks, opened fire, grazing, of course, former President Donald Trump, wounding others, and killing Helen's husband, Corey. Helen says to the New York Post yesterday, and I quote, "I didn't talk to Biden. I didn't want to talk to him. My husband was a devout Republican, and he would not have wanted me to talk to him," close quote, him being Joe Biden. Now, again, Connie, I'm back to your phrase. This is the frame that we're in. This is a woman whose husband has been killed by sniper fire. As yet, we still don't know what his motives were. But the President of the United States calls you to offer his condolences and that of the nation, and you refuse to take his phone call because your husband was a devout Republican and he would not have wanted you to talk to the sitting Democratic president who's merely calling to express condolences. Meanwhile, 3 days in, you ain't heard from Donald Trump. Your husband took a bullet that was aimed and intended for the former president. But that former president has talked to others. He's called others. He showed up last night at the convention, sat in his box, but he ain't got around yet to calling you about your husband taking a bullet meant for him. But Joe Biden calls you, and you reject the phone call. Talk to me, Connie. I don't get it.
Yeah, you demonize the other side. You don't talk to them.
Yeah.
Used to be the Republicans and Democrats on the Hill and in the Senate. They would go to dinner. They go to lunch. They went to athletic clubs together. They did. There used to be a collegiality, as if you both belonged to the same democracy.
Mm.
Well, after Newt Gingrich, he decided to weaponize everything and do aggressive division, divide and conquer, and zero sum. And when you're in zero sum frame, when you're in that mode, it's about, I don't talk to you, I do whatever I can to hurt you. That's zero sum. And when you listen to right-wing extremist media, that's zero sum propaganda. You cannot talk to Democrats. You can't let them hold office. You don't talk to them. If they're your neighbors, you fly flags upside down and try to be hostile to
Mm-hmm.
tear their signs down.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that nobody who votes for Democrats, especially black people, can vote. Take away the drop boxes. You do everything you can to hurt the other side. You're not trying to promote your rights or anybody else's rights. You're just trying to make sure that you use power to make sure the other people can't get it. So when you're in that frame, she's following along, and the media and her party are doing the exact same thing. And by the way, at the Republican convention, they're holding a raffle. Guess what the prize is?
What?
A bump-stocked AK-47 that killed her husband.
That's
they're doing party
that's the
favors
raffle
with
prize.
AK-47.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had John Nichols on. The national correspondent for The Nation magazine. John was our lead guest yesterday, and he made the point very, very eloquently of all the things, Connie, they have banned outside the convention center in Milwaukee. You can't bring tennis balls. You can't bring slingshots. He ran a list of all the things that you cannot have outside or in the vicinity of the convention center where Republicans are meeting. But you can bring guns. Wisconsin is an open carry state. And so they banned all these other things outside the convention center, but you can walk around with your gun strapped to your side. That was not banned at this convention. And you hear Connie making a point. Now, that's not a joke. That is a raffle prize at this convention. I digress. Joe Biden, speaking of Democrats, before I turn to the Republican convention and let Connie have her say about that a great deal more, including the parade of black folk we saw at the podium last night. One more clip of Joe Biden's conversation with Lester Holt from his conversation last night. This doesn't need an explanation. You'll get it. Play it for me, Miles.
In your last TV interview, you were asked if you had watched the debate. Your answer was, I don't think so, no. Have you since seen it?
I've seen pieces of it. I've not watched the whole debate.
And the reason I ask, because I guess the question is, are you all on the same page? Are you seeing what they saw, which was moments of, frankly, that appeared to be, you appeared to be confused?
Lester, look, why don't you guys ever talk about the 28 lies he told? Where are you on this? Why didn't the press ever talk about that? 28 times it's confirmed he lied in that debate. I had a bad, bad night. I wasn't feeling well at all. And I had been, without it making it, I screwed up. But
I just asked the question because the idea that you may or may not have seen what some of these other folks have seen, you're not on the same...
I'd have to see, I was there. I'd have to see it, I was there. And by the way, seriously, you won't answer the question, but why didn't the press talk about all the lies he told?
Well,
I haven't heard anything about that.
We have reported many of the issues that came up during that debate.
No, you haven't.
We'll provide you with them.
God love you.
Okay.
Yeah, the president getting testy with Lester Holt. I wasn't mad about it. I was not mad about it because I can assure you what the president should have said, and Lester was right. They have covered the 28 lies. The president said, no, you haven't. With all due respect, the president was wrong. They have covered it, and Lester said, we'll provide you a transcript. I'm sure they will. They've clearly covered it. What Joe Biden should have said was, yeah, you've covered it, but not nearly as much as the time you have spent on my mental acuity, on my cognitive ability. There's no comparison, Lester, between those two things. That's what he should have said, Connie, but he didn't.
I know. He's just not sharp enough to do debates. He's just not. And at this point, I think it's beside the point. But I think the president was absolutely right. But, you know, it's not just that, but what in the world was CNN doing? The first question of Donald Trump either should have been, should a convicted felon be charged with executing the laws of the land? Number one.
Yeah.
And then number two, is the man across the stage from you the duly elected president of the United States? Do you accept him as the duly elected president? They didn't. You know, they're sitting up there with a 34-count felon convicted criminal who incited an insurrection, twice impeached, you know, charged with Espionage Act violations, and they're asking him about the price of eggs.
Yeah.
So the media does not have the right frame, the right lens, the right context. They're just wrong all around. Yeah. And it's not because, you know, I'm a diehard fan of Democrats. You know, I made a living suing Democrats. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why they don't like me. But, you know, so it's not about that. It's about accurately conveying the situation to folks who are listening to you.
And Connie referenced earlier in that list of that beautiful list that she ran of flying flags upside down when you live next to neighbors you don't agree with politically. That was a reference to Justice Samuel Alito. Just in case you missed that, that was a reference to Justice Samuel Alito. He and his wife did that. He blamed it on his wife, like Robert Menendez tried to blame this stuff on his wife, and yet the jury recently, moments ago, found him guilty. I digress for now. Much more to cover with Connie Rice, including her thoughts on the RNC last night and what to expect the rest of the week. And, of course, we haven't gotten yet to the issue I really wanted to talk about, this Judge Cannon, a dismissal of these classified documents, this classified documents case against Donald Trump. So more to go with Connie Rice when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. COVID-19 cases are rising across the country this summer. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says COVID-19 infections are growing or likely growing in 45 states and territories. The CDC says 26 states have levels categorized as high or very high. The number of hospital and ER visits for COVID is the highest it's been since the winter. Funeral arrangements are pending for former Houston Texans wide receiver Jacoby Jones, who died Sunday at the age of 40. The Texans drafted the African-American New Orleans native in 2007. He spent his first 5 seasons in Houston before moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. Jones died in his sleep in his hometown of New Orleans. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Some people just know the best rate for you is a rate based on you with Allstate, not one based on anyone else. So if you drive safely, you could save money. Good to know. Visit Allstate.com or call for a quote today.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The U.S. Olympic men's basketball team held on for a 6-point win over Australia in an exhibition game. Lakers center Anthony Davis had Team USA's best performance with 17 points and 14 rebounds in just 18 minutes. Somebody is not telling the truth regarding the decision last week to drop Kawhi Leonard from the Team USA roster. Clippers general manager Lawrence Frank said Monday the team is very disappointed Leonard was sent back to L.A. after just 3 workouts with the team in Las Vegas. USA basketball director Grant Hill said it was a mutual decision between USA basketball and the Clippers to send Leonard home. Concerns were mounting that Leonard was having problems again with his right knee. Dodgers center fielder Teoscar Hernandez won Major League Baseball's home run derby last night. He's the first Dodger to win the title in the event's 39-year history. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. By any other name, we demand environmental justice in 2024 and beyond. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. I started Blindster in 2010 in my garage after I overpaid for new blinds. I researched the industry, hired my mom, and 14 years later, we're one of the largest retailers of custom blinds in the U.S. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to Blindster.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 invites you to join us in our climate justice campaign partner, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., as we celebrate the grand unveiling of the South LA Greenway, Saturday, August 3rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Augustus Hawkins Nature Park, 5790 Compton Avenue in the city of Los Angeles. Join us for a green and healthy festival with free food, planting activities, tree adoptions, nature walking tours, Zumba, yoga, sound baths, and more. It's summer, time to get outside. We look forward to seeing you at the dedication of the South LA Greenway, Saturday, August 3rd, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Augustus Hawkins Nature Park, 5790 Compton Avenue in the city of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr. and KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, LA, it's time to step up and be a climate change hero. Go Metro and help us shape a better future for all Angelinos. From enhancing our diverse communities to preserving our planet, Metro is dedicated to making a positive impact with every ride. Start your journey at metro.net.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $200-$300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
Who do you trust to get at the truth?
Tavis Smiley.
That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed with our regular contributor, Connie Rice. All right, Connie, let me pivot now from Joe Biden and his conversation with Lester Holt last out at NBC, which, again, I was frankly disappointed in, to what happened in Milwaukee at the RNC. We discussed this to some extent in our first hour with a former black lieutenant governor out of Maryland, Mr. Rutherford, and got his take on it. But last night we saw a parade of Negroes, a parade of black folk last night at the RNC. Clearly Donald Trump, who is behind everything that happens at this convention, knew exactly what he was doing on night one. Maybe we'll get to the Teamster speech. That threw everybody off last night. But this parade of black folk last night was clearly intended to send a message. I said earlier, Connie, I was laughing, wondering how the good white folk on the convention floor were feeling about all these black folk being trumped out on night one at their convention. But so long as they talked about hard work, work ethic, and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and being responsible and not making excuses, and America is not a racist country, so long as that's the frame they were in, and they all were, they got huge applause from the white brothers and sisters, white fellow citizens on the floor last night. But how did you read Trump making a decision last night to trot out all these black people on night one of this convention?
Well, they're making a bid to peel off as many of the Democratic natural constituents. You know, African Americans vote overwhelmingly for Democrats. He's going to peel off as many as he can. He's going to peel off more than he got in the last election, I think.
Right.
But I also think that there's. It's interesting. You and I talked about this as a little bit earlier, about how African American voting blocks are differentiating now. You're starting to see a divide between progressives and African Americans who don't consider themselves progressives and are more devout and so forth. And a tiny sliver are with the 20% of the MAGA movement who actually think that Trump has divine origins, that God has sent Trump to save them. And after getting shot, there was a lot. What was fascinating was the martyr language, and God intervened, and so it's the Orange Jesus dynamic that we're seeing, and folks are embracing some African American folks are embracing that too. So it's really interesting because the African American community in this post civil rights, we're done with the civil rights revolution, and usual 3 steps forward, 9 back. So we're in a retraction mode after Obama got elected. And but the backlash, the white lash this time is much bigger. And if you can get some African Americans to back that, it gives the message to independent voters that this isn't an anti-black, multiracial democracy. This isn't a movement to end the movement toward multiracial democracy and to go back to make America white again. It's a Make America White Again movement, but that doesn't appeal. One thing we did succeed in doing is, so far, although it's changing, racism is still something that's considered bad, even though Bannon says embrace your racism. But this is a movement that is animated by a pushback against white power being diminished and having to blend and be shared with the rising tide of people of color in this country.
Yeah.
And that's what this fight is about. So in my mind, Tavis, we're fighting the last battles of the American Civil War. The Civil War is not over.
Yeah.
And we could still lose it.
Yeah, what's fascinating for me, I was watching that last night, and every time one of those black speakers got up and just railed that America is not a racist country, it turns your stomach. But if we're going to keep it real, if we're going to speak truth to power and to the powerless, y'all recall Kamala Harris said the same thing. I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser, straight no chaser.
But it's as far as I'm concerned, you could say both things, and both things are true.
Yeah.
This country is built on great ideas.
Yeah.
It's also built on some toxic ideas.
That's right.
And we're trying to get rid of those.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nope.
But saying the United States is devoid of isn't racist or doesn't have racism, is like saying water's not wet.
Yeah. That's my point. I mean, I am chagrined watching a bunch of black Republicans say it, but I'm reminded, check your record, check the facts. Kamala said the same thing, and it turned my stomach when she said it, because she certainly ought to know better. But it again underscores what politicians will do to placate and to play to a base. And I make a distinction between politicians and true public servants. I still believe that public service is a noble profession. But politicians will say and do anything, whether they're Democrat or Republican. I digress on that for now. I'm noodling, Connie, as I'm talking. I'm noodling in real time. Your comment a moment ago that got my attention, that there are, in fact, some black Christians. I know a few of them. I got one or two of them in my own family, I have to admit. A couple of black Christians who believe in this divinity, this divinity that Donald Trump has, relative divinity, given that he survived this attack. The devil, you heard Tim Scott talk about, he played the clip earlier. Tim Scott went in. The devil showed up with a rifle, with AK, and God stepped in and saved Donald Trump. We're still a nation that believes in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He just went out. He started preaching. Hadn't taken a text. Just started preaching, right? So the point is that there are black people, not just black Republicans, who born of their Christology, will fall for that argument. On the other hand, you've got people who believe, we talked about this yesterday, a professor at USC, black professor, wrote a piece for Forbes that they eventually took down. But his question was, he was just asking a question, whether or not Donald Trump surviving a gunshot would be his latest appeal to black voters. The first appeal was his mugshot. Now I've survived being shot, like he's some version of 50 Cent. That's what we're getting now, Connie. So, I'm just, it'd be laughable if it weren't so serious, the ways in which they think that they can uniquely play to black voters with all this imagery.
Exactly right, and it's just a variation on the imagery that they've used to dupe white voters.
Right.
And playing on their resentment, playing on their feeling that they've been left behind, this flyover territory, Rust Belt territory. Neither party cares about us. They've lied to us. Well, if white folks could say that, African Americans can say that to the power of 1,000.
Yeah.
So there are. It resonates at some level. But what you've hit on is really important, Tavis. The MAGA movement isn't just about regressive, make America white again. It is also Christian nationalist.
Mm-hmm.
You see these states that are saying the Ten Commandments have to be posted in all of the public school classrooms.
Yep.
You're talking about, you're talking about the emergence of the imposition of Christianity as the dominant religion of this country. This country was founded on secular values. Mm-hmm. That yes, Christianity animated a lot of the founding fathers, and Christianity is the religion of the European conquistadors, the conquistadors from England. So that's all very true. Yeah. But the country was founded on the principle that there is no state established or condemnation status. This, in my mind, is very dangerous. I call it Christofascism because it isn't Christianity. Mm-hmm. It's not Christianity at all. Yeah. In fact, these folks wouldn't have Jesus. They want the orange Jesus, but the actual Jesus, they wouldn't have him because he actually had compassion. He had empathy. He wanted justice.
No, I've said many times, if Jesus came back today, he couldn't get in half of these churches. They wouldn't even recognize him. He's like, but I thought I was your Lord and Savior. He couldn't get in half these churches with the agendas they're pushing. If Jesus came back himself, I digress. We've got about 8 minutes left of total talk time, and I'm going to use all of those 8 minutes to allow Connie to talk about this ruling by Judge Cannon that just kicked to the curb this classified documents case. We'll do that when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
You're listening to Tavis Smiley. Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month. If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
As a rideshare driver, I love keeping my car smelling fresh and clean. So when I'm driving, I only trust new Febreze car vent clips, now with 3 times greater scent control, because it's that little touch that sets me apart. I can turn the intensity down for subtle freshness, or I can turn it up for when I want lots of scent. So whether it's set to low, medium, or high, with new Febreze car, I know my car's going to smell amazing, which keeps my driver rating right where it belongs. Picking up Oscar!
A violent crime is committed every 24 seconds. The U.S. Concealed Carry Association exists to provide you with firearms education, training, and access to self-defense liability insurance. So when trouble comes, you'll be ready. Over 800,000 Americans trust the USCCA, and right now, there's an exclusive, limited-time offer for radio listeners. Go to defendfamily.com to get a free family defense guide, a survival secrets training video from a retired FBI agent, and see all the benefits of membership. Go to defendfamily.com now.
Hey, John, why so glum?
I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the 3rd time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this.
Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. mycomputercareer.edu. Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Connie Rice. All right, Connie. Judge Eileen Cannon kicked the classified documents case to the curb, said it was unconstitutional to hire this special prosecutor. She did so on the first day of the RNC. I stand down and yield to you.
Well, she's really wandered off the plantation now, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, dismissing this case is just absurd. I mean, what she's trying to say in this opinion is that this Trump can't be charged, or this case can't be prosecuted by someone who wasn't confirmed by the Senate. And so she's saying that Jack Smith's appointment as a special prosecutor to bring this case against Trump for hoarding boxes and boxes of classified documents, including nuclear secrets, in his bathroom at Mar-a-Lago, that he stole these papers and security documents that belong to the American people. He can't be prosecuted for that because Jack Smith's appointment is unconstitutional. The problem with it is that the Supreme Court dealt with this in the Watergate era when Nixon, United States v. Nixon, they said, look, you can have independent, the Department of Justice is empowered under a couple of clauses in the Constitution and by statutes to appoint inferior officers, meaning people who weren't confirmed by the Senate, to carry out special functions. And independent counsel, special counsels, special prosecutors, they can be appointed, and each is different. Jack Smith actually can't make independent decisions. He's not an independent prosecutor. He's a special counsel. He has to ask Merrick Garland, the head of the Federal Department of Justice, for any strategic moves that he's making. So I think that what's going to happen is that the appellate court is probably going to reverse her again. They reversed her earlier. And one way for this is for Jack Smith, the prosecutor, to appeal this ruling, which he's going to do. He's writing the papers right now if he hasn't already filed them. Maybe do that route and also ask for the case to be reassigned to a judge who has all of her marbles in her head. So I think that that's the path he's going to take. The other faster way would be for Merrick Garland to say, fine, we're not going to fight this battle right now. I'm going to take the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, give the case to that U.S. Attorney, and tell that U.S. Attorney as a confirmed officer to refile the case immediately and go forward. So those are the two paths forward. But it's at this point, Tavis, I was holding back a little bit, for me holding back. I was saying, okay, maybe Eileen Cannon isn't totally in the bag for Donald Trump. At this point, I think she ought to join the defense table. She ought to just get down off the bench and go sit with Trump's lawyers, okay?
Point well taken. Our remaining moments with Connie Rice when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Seeking the truth, speaking the truth. This is the Tavis Smiley Show.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Happy anniversary, KBLA!
KBLA Talk 1580 is now celebrating 3 years of amplifying our voice and uplifting our community. We deeply appreciate your support of this radio station and will always do our level best to earn your support. Here's to many more years of loving and serving our community. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we've got your back.
I know it's gonna happen without you. What make you?
Yeah. The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
Well, Connie Rice right now. Got about 4 minutes left in this hour. So, Connie, the stage is set. We saw last night the kind of frame that Donald Trump wants to put us in this week. We are pushing toward Thursday night and his big speech at the convention. He is no longer the presumptive nominee. He is, in fact, the official nominee of the party. No surprise there. We know that J.D. Vance is his running mate. I said to a guest in our first hour, it's clear to me that if J.D. Vance is the next wave of this party, the GOP, as they have known it, is not anytime soon going to return to the way they once knew it. It's MAGA for the foreseeable future. If J.D. Vance is the running mate, I digress on that for now. Perhaps more on that later in the coming days. But my question, my extra question, I think, is what you expect from Donald Trump on Thursday night? I want to just kind of handicap this. I won't talk to you before Thursday, not publicly at least. What do you expect from Donald Trump on Thursday night, given the frame that we are now in?
You know what? He's been really cannily strategic in a way that we don't think of him being. He's usually popping off and acts like he's got impulse control and needs Ritalin. But after the catastrophic debate and the Democratic cannibalism circular firing squad started forming and cross-firing, he was very, very quiet. He has a professional campaign staff, Tavis, this time. It's not Manafort heading to jail. He actually has real sharp handlers, and they made him be quiet because he's sensing that he can win. He senses the momentum changing, and then after the attempted assassination, I think he's going to be canny enough to sound reasonable, sound more like John McCain than crazy Trump. And that's going to cause some independent voters, the slice, the 6% of the electorate that's going to determine this race, to perhaps reconsider Trump. The problem with that is that it's all smoke and mirrors. They're after an agenda that is so extreme, it's shocking. And I know you're doing some shows on the Project 2025, which is basically the Republican agenda. And they're basically going to destroy the federal government as we know it and replace all 50,000 civil service folks who send out your Social Security checks with political hacks. Think of Bannon as the DOJ head, the Attorney General, and they're basically going to install Christianity. They're going to get rid of EPA, the Department of Education, women, no abortion pills, even no contraception. They're coming after contraception and IVF. That's in there. It's astonishing. They want all public school children to have to take the military test. So read this agenda. Understand that it is the action plan to end democracy. That's what this GOP convention is going to produce. But I'm afraid they're going to do a nice smooth over and make it look nice.
We agree. I believe that Trump is wisened up. He's smartened up. And Connie's right. It's all smoke and mirrors ultimately. But here's the evidence. He said yesterday he's rewritten his speech for Thursday night. And I'm paraphrasing, but this is the point he made. You can find the quote online. He basically said, I don't want to sound like a wild man gone off, blaming people for this and making people feel bad, this, that, and the other. Those are his words. I'm paraphrasing. But he's rewritten his speech for Thursday night because he understands, again, the frame that he's in post the assassination attempt last Saturday. Connie's right. He can see and sniff and smell that he can win this. And essentially all of his troubles, maybe Fonnie Willis, but on the border here, but all of his troubles basically go away if he can pull this off. And he senses that he can win this thing. He's going to be smart enough, I think. And again, he does have, he doesn't control all of his impulses. So he'll snap off here and there. He'll pop off here and there. But this week, he's going to, I think, be disciplined enough to do what he needs to do to play to a larger base. That speech last night from the Teamsters was evidence of that. And I watched him last night, and maybe just me, but I talked to a couple friends of mine who were watching as well, and he seemed subdued last night. I just, even for Donald Trump, when the bullet grazes by your head, if that don't do something to you, then nothing will. And so I think that there's a lot going on inside of him that we'll never know, perhaps. But he seemed more subdued last night, and I expect, as Connie does, he'll do the right. He'll tamp down this week to make his case, and we will see what happens in the coming days. I predict he'll get a big bump in the polls out of this convention. But that's my take. I could be wrong. Connie Rice, as always, thank you for coming on. We'll do it again. Take care.
You take care too, Tavis.
Appreciate you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. I'm Mike Moore. Now here's the latest from the Black Information Network. COVID-19 cases are rising across the country this summer. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says the number of hospital and ER visits for COVID is the highest it's been since the winter. Funeral arrangements are pending for former Houston Texans wide receiver Jacoby Jones, who died